Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to track the absolute hero's journey of Virat Kohli. Now, we all know the name, right? But today we're diving deep into the exact numbers, the defining moments, and the massive cultural shifts that built this modern sporting icon. Let's get into it.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're looking at forging a resilient spirit, his role as a world champion and fitness pioneer, his peak as the ultimate run machine, how he went about redefining Indian Test captaincy, and we'll wrap up with a fairy tale World Cup finish.
All right, Part 1. Forging a Resilient Spirit, the 2006 Ranji Trophy Tragedy.
Long before the global fame, the massive endorsements, and the roaring crowds, there was an 18-year-old kid showing the world some unbelievable grit. I really want you to ask yourself this question as we look back at a harrowing three-day period in December 2006 during a crucial Delhi versus Karnataka Ranji Trophy match. What defines a player's ultimate commitment? Like, how do you actually measure absolute dedication to your team?
The emotional contrast of this match is it's staggering. Think about this. Day 1, Karnataka posts a massive 446 runs. Day 2, Delhi is completely collapsing at 14 for 4. But a young Kohli steps in, stabilizes the innings, and remains unbeaten overnight. Then the absolute worst happens. At 4 a.m. on Day 3, his 54-year-old father, Prem Kohli, tragically passes away. Understandably, his teammates assumed he'd withdraw. Yet, literally just hours after losing his dad, he walks back into the dressing room in full gear, steps onto the pitch, and bats for 281 minutes to score a match-saving 90. He didn't even leave for the funeral until he knew his team was safely out of trouble.
His coach at the time, Chetan Chauhan, later talked about how Kohli was somehow in the mental shape to go out and bat under the most impossible circumstances. He said he was barely 18 and he had lost his father at 4 a.m. Hats off to his attitude and determination. And this right here cemented a foundational resilience that would define his entire career. He proved quite literally overnight that the team came above absolutely everything else.
Moving on to Part 2, World Champion and Fitness Pioneer, from U19 to Global Icon.
So this incredible mental strength quickly translates into some major hardware. In 2008, he captains India to an Under-19 World Cup victory in Malaysia. Fast forward to 2011, and he's hoisting the senior ODI World Cup trophy at Wankhede, contributing a vital 35 runs in the final, which he later called a core memory. But the real turning point? That happens between 2012 and 2015. Coming off a rough tour in Australia, he realizes that raw talent just isn't going to cut it anymore. So he officially partners with strength and conditioning coach Shankar Basu to completely re-engineer his physical body.
As Shankar Basu himself put it, he is the first cricketer who decided to train like an Olympic athlete. And that's exactly it. He wasn't just doing the standard cricket warm-ups. He brought precision, science, and true Olympic-level dedication to the sport. He knew that to be the absolute best, you can't just work harder, you have to work smarter, driven by logic and cutting-edge sports science.
And this personal fitness religion? It completely revolutionized the culture of the entire Indian squad. Out went the outdated routines. In came a strict scientific template. He basically turned the whole team into agile, top-tier athletes capable of physically dominating the SENA nations, that's South Africa, England, New Zealand, and Australia, right in their own backyards. And for Kohli, personally, this fueled a staggering era of stamina, literally paving the way for him to score 7 Test double hundreds between 2016 and 2019.
Section 3. The Ultimate Run Machine, Shattering Records.
973. I just want that number to sink in for a second. That is the towering total of runs he scored in a single 2016 IPL season. It's a benchmark that seems almost mathematically impossible in a standard T20 tournament, and it marks an unbelievable peak of physical conditioning and batting mastery. When we actually break down the stats of that 2016 season, it's not just about the 973 runs. It's doing so at a massive average of 81.08, with a strike rate over 152, 4 centuries, and 7 50s in just 16 matches. I mean, the guy was quite literally a run machine operating on a completely different frequency than anyone else on the planet.
Now, let's fast forward from that insane IPL peak all the way to the 2023 ODI World Cup semifinal against New Zealand. We get this beautifully raw, emotional reaction after he achieved something everyone thought was impossible. He said, "The great man just congratulated me. All this to me feels like a dream, honestly. It's too good to be true. It feels surreal."
The true poignancy of that moment is the incredible historical weight behind it.
With that innings, he cemented his status as the ultimate run scorer in ODI history, becoming the very first man to hit 50 centuries. He surpassed the previous record holder, who just happened to be his ultimate hero, Sachin Tendulkar, and to do it at the historic Wankhede Stadium with his wife Anushka and Sachin himself watching from the stands. Come on, it was movie script stuff. Kohli literally bowed to the very idol whose record he had just broken.
All right, Part 4. Redefining Indian Test Captaincy. Kohli versus Dhoni.
Look, taking over from a legend is never easy, but the facts absolutely speak for themselves when we look at his era as the leader of India's Test squad. MS Dhoni retired with a highly respectable 27 Test wins, but Kohli? He pushed that ceiling all the way to 40. And in those winning matches, Kohli led from the front with the bat, scoring over 3,500 runs at an average of 57.62, completely dwarfing previous records. And when you compare their records, something really stands out. While both captains were absolute titans at home, with Kohli just edging it out 22-21, the real shift happened overseas. Kohli's aggressive leadership and that pace-heavy, super-fit squad we talked about earlier, it secured a massive 16 overseas victories compared to Dhoni's 6. That includes their historic maiden Test Series win down under in 2018, a real game-changer. Which brings us to our final section, a fairy tale World Cup finish, the 2024 T20 World Cup.
Every hero's journey needs a resolution, right? A final act that just ties the whole narrative together perfectly. And for Kohli, that arrived in the gripping final of the 2024 T20 World Cup against South Africa. He'd been having a really rough tournament, scoring just 75 runs across his previous 7 innings. Combine that slump with a decade of brutal ICC tournament setbacks, losing finals and semifinals in 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017, the pressure on his shoulders must have been unimaginable. But he let it go. He trusted his years of hard work to manifest when the team needed it most, and he struck a phenomenal, match-winning 76 off 59 balls to secure India's first T20 World Cup since 2007. After winning Player of the Match, his reflection was just so vulnerable and perfectly captured the unpredictable climax of his T20 international career. He admitted, "I was walking in with no confidence. One day you aren't getting any runs, and then you walk into the biggest game of your career and things just start happening." He stepped up exactly when he felt the most out of form. Talk about the absolute perfect note to announce your retirement from T20 internationals. He walked away from T20 internationals, making it clear that the next generation of players is ready to take the wheel. But as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Knowing the foundation he laid, how long will the echoes of his Olympic-level discipline, his scientific fitness revolution, and his fierce overseas ambition continue to redefine the sport? Virat Kohli didn't just play in an era of cricket, he built a completely new one. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.